All right, everybody, the 10-minute talent rant is live. I'm James Hornick, joined by Jeff Smith, and we are on the clock. The 10-minute talent rant is our ongoing series where we break down things that are broken in the talent acquisition hiring space, maybe even pitch a solution or two. Maybe not this week, I don't know. Before we dig in, all our content can be found on talentinsights.hirewell.com. The topic, how LinkedIn lost its way. I guess before we start, two quick shout outs. We were planning this show and the promotional things, and also saw a few things that a couple ideas that actually weren't originally ours, but they actually made a lot of sense. So we'll get to those later. But Michelle Malis, our colleague, had some excellent insights on this, and so did Chris Walker, as he always does. So want to just throw that out there so we're not being accused of being content thieves. Anyways.
Yes, Michelle had feelings. We're going to talk about them.
So LinkedIn has made career searching a lot easier. It's, I think, the most disruptive technology in recruitment tech since maybe the online ad, maybe even trumps that. I don't know. I said it on the employer content show. It's the greatest sourcing tool of all time, which is why the show today is so hard.
It's like breaking up.
I know. It's fallen behind in ways that aren't obvious to experienced recruiters. You're so used to it. It's kind of like when you have a friend who kind of like, put on a little weight over the years. And it's not till you go back and look at those old pics that you realize like, ooh, something happened here. Jeff, what's your take on LinkedIn?
Pains me to say the line that really was the start of all this, but every time I log into LinkedIn Recruiter, a little part of me dies inside. It's just the way it is.
So I did a poll last week talking about this. I wanted to see what everyone's thoughts were, and it was kind of what I expected. It was really easy. LinkedIn Recruiter users. So we're kind of talking about LinkedIn Recruiter specifically.
Yeah.
What's your satisfaction with the product? And LinkedIn Recruiter is like the advanced version that recruiters use. It's far more in depth. Most people who aren't recruiters don't even realize what it does or it exists. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a standard bell curve. So high was like 22%. Mid was 60, low was 18. I defined it as 22% of people thought it was great. The mid people thought it kind of sucks, but it still gets the job done. And the lower says it's completely terrible. Mm-hmm. So what's kind of happening here is this. Every time we're on a prospective call, and I'm sure every recruiter out there is going to agree with this, people always ask us where you find your candidates, right? Mm-hmm. And, one, HireWell, we have senior staff. We have people who are really good at like gathering referrals. We have people who know their networks, know that like that's one thing that we have. Second, like got our internal database. I'm sure every recruiting firm out there has their own internal databases that don't integrate with LinkedIn. And third, like everyone else, we got LinkedIn. Because let's be honest, like you either have that or you have like the LinkedIn knockoff, which isn't really any better. Everyone's using the same shit. Some people use it better than others. There's no silver bullet out there yet. Stay tuned. But they've successfully created a near monopoly in the recruiting space while simultaneously making it less and less useful every year that passes, while making it more expensive at the same time. Mm-hmm. Let's dig into that a little more.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, for the user, it's a colossal time suck. I mean, massive time suck.
By user, you mean recruiters specifically?
I am talking about everybody, recruiters.
But yeah.
Yes. To re-clarify, this centers around LinkedIn Recruiter and maybe to some extent to the sales folks out there, some Sales Navigator, although we use that as well. Everything you do is manual. So each search has to be tediously changed so that you're hoping to guess like what the algorithm's going to spit out, which is the exact opposite, I think, of what an algorithm's supposed to do. There's no way of downloading any of your work. So if you like even wanted to share this stuff, guess who you can share it with? The other paying seats, i.e. the other people who have LinkedIn Recruiter seats or Sales Navigator seats. And it's even worse, it has to be the same seat. You can't share between Sales Navigator and LinkedIn Recruiter. It's annoying. Mm-hmm. And if you want to like keep any of this stuff, you've got to prepare your own spreadsheet, meaning every single piece of those profile, every single detail that's important to you, it's not easily consumed in a regular format. And by extension, you just got to put your own stuff together. I could go on and on about how non-collaborative a tool both of these things are, LinkedIn Recruiter, Sales Navigator specifically. Secondly, again, parlance of our times, like the DEI stuff is a big problem. integrate labor statistics at a minimum. Like, why are we not doing that?
That seems like something that their team would be able to do like in a day's work. Like it's, I have clients of mine that do that themselves. You know what I mean? How is LinkedIn not doing, their data clients, mind you, but still, it's like, it's not like, yeah.
I totally agree. Like, people are literally using the eyeball test for this. I'm not saying, like, it's provocative, but this is not like something crazy. Like, that in and of itself is a massive issue that has to stop. We have this huge push, rightfully, to be a more inclusive society, to like push the boundaries of like making sure all avenues are equal, etc. And the biggest player in the game makes it incredibly difficult for that to happen.
Zero help. Everyone else there is just making tools, at least, like, is attempting to, at least. Anyways.
Yeah.
But integrations, I mean, kind of what you're talking about, like sharing work and stuff like that. Like, I thought it integrated with nothing. I was corrected. Okay, it's got some integration with Greenhouse. I hate admitting I was wrong about something. But I mean, we're in the world of like web services, everything's open source. These guys have like, their APIs are basically non-existent, and it's by design. I think, like, think about the amount of resumes you have backlog from before. It's in your database, it's on your drive or whatever. How can, like, why can't, when you search LinkedIn, it also search those exact same resumes at the same time? Like, this is not that hard of a problem to figure out and overcome. It's just like having one comprehensive search engine that takes everything, like the amount of money you're paying these guys, like it's possible. They just don't want to do it. And therefore, that's why companies have backlogs and backlogs of resumes that no one ever hears back once they submit them to, because no one's even bothered searching them, because you have to go through two completely different search processes as a recruiter.
Yeah. No, I mean, the answer is simple. It's money. It's, you would, how dare we be able to, even if we were given the option to download the individuals that gave us positive responses on our messaging out. So like on our, it's called an InMail. Everybody kind of knows that, but when you send it on a LinkedIn Recruiter, just give us the positive ones and let us put it into our database repository. Like, it's not, we're not even asking for the ones that decline for whatever reason. It's just, it's insane. We're old, well, middle-aged old, right? Me and you. So like, we've had this, like, the apathy has grown over time, but like we talked about, like early on, this thing was like, I mean, it was revolutionary. It changed the game, right? But like little by little, like, yes, I'm still very reliant on it. And I go through my day-to-day, whatever. Like the youngs, they literally think we're crazy. They're like, why are we using this? I had a one-on-one with a younger teammate, and she literally looked at me and said, "This is nuts. Why are we doing this?"
Yeah. Because like, we've become institutionalized. We've been using it too damn long to realize how ridiculous it is. But
yeah. I mean, we can say what we want, and Slacks and Reddit and chat rooms and other Discord, these sorts of things, like, they weren't built for recruiting, but like, make no mistake, these communities are figuring out ways to utilize those platforms to socialize. And if like none of it was designed to do any of that, and people are still going there, like, LinkedIn done effed up, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the amount of shade that gets thrown. Like, we're talking most about LinkedIn Recruiter, but the LinkedIn like social product is just as culpable with this entire thing, because there's a reason why the content, like, they reward crappy content and stuff that's just self-congratulatory, that doesn't actually say anything, which means real conversations no longer happen there anymore. So if you want to have a real conversation, like a networking group, you end up going somewhere else, and that's where real recruiting is starting to happen. And good. Anyways, back to, so I wanted to talk about this too, is that there's no transparency in how the search algorithm works, because we kind of talked about it a minute ago. So like, the algorithm that recruiters would use to search on, there's no transparency with the actual end users, meaning job seekers, and how that specifically works. Meaning they have no idea what in their profile is important or not important, what they need to fill out. Like, every time you see a post or a webinar talking about this, or resume writers that offer services around like fixing your LinkedIn profile, people eat this stuff up, because like, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to do it. Like Ryan and I did a presentation put together. Like we actually gave job seekers a couple guest webinars where we gave them the ability to see what we see in LinkedIn Recruiter. Yeah. I've never gotten so many questions and comments on something in my entire life, because it was all like, it was like a light bulb went off for everyone. And I'm not saying that because like we were that amazing. I'm saying it because like they've done such a poor job of actually explaining to people what's important and why. And now that's frustrating for job seekers, but it should be equally frustrating for recruiters, because there are absolutely people out there that fit those jobs you're trying to fill that you're not finding in any of your searches, because people don't know how to match their profile in a way that's going to get picked up by the search algorithm.
And there may be people out there that like haven't put it in for whatever reason because they don't need to, but there's more people who have tried and given up because they're still not soliciting the types of responses from recruiters that they think that they should get. Because we're all out there telling you, well, optimize it this way, optimize it this way. Then they get no responses. Yeah. Meanwhile, the same 30 to 40 people get just pummeled for whatever reason, because it's in a black box, so nobody knows. They're just getting hammered. So
and instead of doing that, what have they been doing? They've been monetizing spam.
Yes.
That's been the focus of LinkedIn and LinkedIn Recruiter for the past 10 years. Their revenue model is in a direct contradiction to the user experience. Like everyone talks about how you just get bombarded with, they're not just incentivizing recruiters and salespeople to send as many InMails as possible because that's how they make their money. I mean, they're literally putting ads in. You're like, nobody wants an ad in their inbox. Like that's how little they give a crap about their users, is that they've taken it that far. And it's just, it's insane to me that instead of actually like making it more focusing on the user and allowing revenue to fall into place, they're trying to make it as awful as possible.
Yeah, I know what I get. And it has to be 5% the frustration of like a software engineer right now. It's just like not even close. So anyway, we're way over.
Fixes, I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? This is all going on LinkedIn, and hope they watch it. Like, look, we as a profession we need to move on. If this thing if the platform can't evolve and can't get past its own barriers, like we as a group have to learn how to network better. Like we have to use our phones. We have to we have to like continue to engage in these non-traditional platforms. Again, ripe for disruption. There is a world where Reddit decides, hey, this can be monetized. Yeah, that can happen. Like the only way to force LinkedIn into getting better is to not be so reliant on it. And it's going to take some time.
All right. We're short on clock. Out of clock. We're way over.
Yeah,
way short. That's a wrap for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the 10-Minute Talent Rant, part of the Talent Insights series, which is always available for replay on talentinsights.hireable.com, as well as YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon. Jeff, thanks again. As always, everyone out there, we'll see you soon.